Dexter was quite taken aback to find that she he'd spoken to on the telephone was in fact a he, a very gushingly gay travel agent. With the dexterity of a croupier, he hastily counted out his crisp red £50 notes, laying them down like a flush of cards onto the table. Larry, travel agent, leant across, exposing a very commendable cleavage, albeit in silicon. Dexter was pushed slightly backwards due to Larry's overpowering perfume. Still, the tickets were in hand, and Dexter was to spend 3 weeks in Malta. Looking back at NAT travel, he couldn't help but think it was a short spelling for Never Again tours. Then he caught the sight of Larry Darling, finger-waving him a sorrowful goodbye. Dexter flinched a small smile, slid hastily into the car. Catching his ear on the edge of the door, he frantically cursed the burn of pain and began to rub it. Larry thought it was some sort of a come-on. Quickly, Dexter ground the gears and reversed back into the traffic, only to be greeted with the blare of some truck's air horns. It had been a last-minute booking into a 4-star, nothing to do but sleep by the pool hotel. However, on arrival, Dexter seemed to have landed into some tacky time warp. The place was full of tired old pensioners. The lobby resembled some OAP lounge. Grandfather clocks, tall boy chairs, a yellow-toothed Steinway. Christ, thought Dexter, no wonder I couldn't find it on the internet. It's been built during the Boer War. Surveying the situation, he was quickly brought back to reality by a barking uniformed guardsman who was covered in gold braid with a bristling moustache. "This way, sir." Oh, no, thought Dexter. How I do hate old soldiers, especially vets, walking and talking, wearing their military backgrounds. I mean, if they want to play at Dad's Army, why don't they just stay in the service? "Briefing will be in the Naffy Bar at 0800, sir." "Very good, thank you, sir. Good day, good evening." Oh, God, Dexter regarded them as utter circus of clowns, total lunacy. He decided to avoid tripping over any more Zimmer-frame brigadiers. He'd search out a bar elsewhere. Salima was positioned close to Valletta, a small tourist resort, timeless on the back streets. Nothing particularly had changed for 3 centuries. Little tiny villas built from soft Maltese stone that was crumbling away by wind and time. Beautiful, thought Dexter. No concrete, thank heavens. 3rd Street up on the left, he found what he was looking for, a broken-down tavern, which resembled a cave, full of tobaccos, hard-smoking drunks. Wonderful, he thought. The Maltese language was a mongrel, with the conquering powers that had occupied this garrison fortress for 2,000 years. Italian, Arab, French, and the last, fortunately, of the English conquistadors, so everyone spoke English perfectly. He found a young man covered in scars and started talking about the football on TV, although he wasn't particularly interested in the game. His voice was quickly croaking with the local moonshine. "What is this rubbish, this old gut rot? My voice is going." "Oh, stay off that, mate. That's some stuff they brew from potato peelings or something. Forget that stuff, you'll go blind." Then suddenly in began to walk wonderful 30-something Malteser girls, all tormenting the old geezers. "Oh, who are these?" "Oh, they're nurses. Well, type of nurses. They work at the Ambassador on the corner, old stone pile. There. Oh, I know it. I'm staying there." "You're staying there?" "Well, I doubt it. You shouldn't be there." "What do you mean I shouldn't be there?" "That's where I'm staying." "Really?" "That's for people, just for old dead and dying pensioners, really. It's a type of hospice. I don't know what you're doing there." "Well, I'm there. And you're right about the old thing. These old corgis, they'll be lucky if they're not dead by dawn. They need nurses. They need a priest for the last rites for that lot. Anyway, let's have a little chat to these. Introduce me." Scarface introduced him. Dexter immediately began to warm to one of the Asian persuasion girls who was outnumbered 10-1. Oh, I say. So, anybody fancy a little libation, whichever goddess you may worship? This was turning into a turkey shoot. Dexter found the favourite. Oh, then suddenly, in walked an enormous ganch of flesh. 6'6". Massive. Who's the muscle magnet here? What? Oh, he's Tony. Tony's from London, East End. He looks after the girls, in actual fact. I don't know what he actually does, but he's, Jesus Christ. He's enormous. It looks as though he's wearing a bell tent over that XXXXL frame. Fortunately, somebody managed to build his head from a chub safe, too. Phew. Tony held out a paw-sized hand. All right, mate? Tony. Right. It felt as though an elephant's trunk had just wrapped round Dexter's hand. He didn't need to squeeze. He could feel the weight on the end of it. The girls left him, and they all smothered round Tony. Good God, that's the end of that. Kia Royale, mate? Yeah, I'll join you in a little Kia Royale. Kia Royale, Willie. All round. Full bar, mate. Give 'em all one. For heaven's sake, this guy wasn't actually skimming the surface, certainly not financially. Dexter felt quite infantile around this bear. Fortunately, he didn't stay long. Right, mate, I've got to be away. Little job to do. Nice seeing you. Catch you. We'll see you later, yeah? Well, yeah, I'll see you. I'll definitely be able to see you. Yeah, the size of you, that's for sure. You must be the tallest and widest man on Malta. He waved goodbye to Tony. Thank God for that. Get him out of the way. He began talking to the girls, who were having an absolute scream. It seemed to be... Dexter was a bit of a sort of a sexual predator in a sense, and he'd managed to just work out who was who were mumsy, who were not, and who was going to give away what he wanted. And that was a good night between a good flutter between the old feathers. Pop the cork. Been long overdue. He hadn't had a good sexual night for a long, long time. He was winning over this gorgeous little minxie poos. Nothing like the Maltesers. They look fantastic. Absolutely beautiful-looking girls. He managed to isolate the one he wanted, or he thought he'd managed to isolate. He was thinking she was doing more of the managing than him. She'd managed to isolate and ostracize all the other girls away from Dexter. He felt as though he was fast becoming the prey himself. Good heavens, this girl doesn't mess around. There's a little bit of a put-off, but not too much. He walked the girl back to the hotel, and before he realized, he was almost raped. She'd managed to pull over the standard lamp, knock down half the apartment. This was going to be an absolute fight to the death the way it was going. She was like some sort of wild animal. It was very unusual. No fumbling, no nothing. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. In the morning, Dexter heard the keys rattling into the hotel door. He screamed out, "Leave it, I'm still here." God, what time is it? Good heavens. His head was absolutely banging. Where the hell's that little minx gone? Oh, she must be on the early shift, he thought. The only thing that was left was a trace of perfume and lots of lipstick all over the pillow. Oh dear, his head was beating. Oof, his brain was an anvil, blood the hammer. Ooh, his body began to chill with sweat. Get out of here. He must be the air con. He hated sharing carbon dioxide. Get up and open the... He slid open the balcony doors, and suddenly The dust in his lungs must have been disturbed. He had a massive coughing fit. Oh, he spat phlegm over the balcony, cursing after it. "Begone! Oh, devil!" Oof. Then he started with an enormous woofing sneeze and caught his head on the side of the door, shouting "bitch" as loud as he could. He spat more phlegm over the balcony. Oh! He went into the bathroom to see what state of cuts and curses. He looked under the lamp. Oh, wasn't too bad. A bruise under the skin, but not. At least he hadn't caught any. He hadn't caused blood. Oh, but he looked. Good heavens! His face was looking very, very distressed. Axe marks cutting across his brow, where once there was a tight jawline, it now fell into folds like some cheap sliced loaf. It was showing lots of wear and tear. Well, still, taxes paid at 40-something, what do you expect? But he looked again, thought to himself, better get a burn on the beach. Try and hide this translucence. Oof. He let loose with a rasper jasper and shouted after it, "Get out and walk, you scoundrel. Be no passengers on this bus, I tell you that." Good heavens, you're not shouting at your own flatulence, are you? It was the little Maltese minx, looking devastatingly beautiful. "Oh, I'm ever so sorry. I didn't know you were still here." "No, I bet you didn't. That's one of the most disgusting starts to the morning I've ever heard. You sound like some sort of one-man band warming up." Well, excuse me. Yes, excuse you." Momentarily pushed off balance. He'd not had somebody talk to him so bluntly before. "Well, which Garden of Eden have you sprung from?" "Obviously, the next room. I had to jump into there due to you turning into the Boston Strangler during the night." He was beginning to warm to this little minx. She owled back, an amber glare. "So what are we doing? What's for breakfast, pussycat?" "Breakfast? I haven't got time for breakfast. I'm going to take a quick shower. I'm on the early milk shift." "Oh." She came out of the shower with such a rush. She was a clumsy girl. Good God, she bumped into Dexter, knocking his hand quite badly. He sliced into himself with the razor, trying to shave. "Be careful! Good God, Jesus, what have you done? You've virtually... It's a wonder you haven't cut my throat." "It'd be ridiculous. Let's have a look." She spun. She got big hands. Good God, she spun him around. "Oh, that's bad. You're bleeding bad there." "I know I'm bleeding bad. It's you. I don't think you're going to make it. Where's your wallet and your cigarettes?" "Ciao, I'm off to work." "Very funny. Take it easy, Batman." They played on his mind. Why did she call me Batman? Dexter was busy pressing toilet roll onto his wound, which she still couldn't stem. Good God, that booze from last night. He was thinned the blood down to petrol. It's a wonder he wasn't going to bleed to death. A woman couldn't care less. He got downstairs to find that the dining room was packed with old people devouring plates of food. Obviously nothing wrong with their teeth, he thought, even albeit most of them were false. Dexter couldn't find his little pussycat. He was looking everywhere. Then suddenly a huge trolley bumped into him. "Move out of the way, will you?" "Who's that?" "Margot." "Don't worry about this man, Margot. He's far too old for you. We'll have to fetch... We'll find you something less hackneyed. This has travelled too many miles, this old thing." Thank you. Compliments and comments welcome." Out of the way. Coming through. There was this little minx wheeling Margot past in some sort of contraption. Certainly wasn't a disability chair. It looked like a motorized machine. Oof. He to sit down with all these cotton tops. Oh, heaven's sake. I find these inanely boring. Life's drudgery. Most people, no bound through flat and boring. That's why I like the girl. She was definitely a teenage soul inside. Very rare. 30-something with a teen soul. The red flags began flying, but the water was so warm I couldn't help but swim. And certainly for 3 weeks. It's only 3 weeks. It could turn into a psychosexual nightmare, though. Oh dear. Had to get away. She was certainly giving off the right pheromones. Most of Dexter's relationships have failed due to his ex-partners being flawed, also himself flawed. But boy, they had been non-stop crazy times. Nothing mumsy. Sex, mad thrill seekers. Wild. That's what he liked. Pain and destruction. Come on, Batman, out the way. The girl came back and bumped into him again. This is turning pretty dangerous here. This is turning into some highway of hell, pensioners that you're pushing backwards and forwards. That's what we're doing. Get out the way, Batman. Oh, dear. He sat down. Suddenly he was joined by Morley from Blackburn, Lancashire. Very heavy accented, but all laughing smiles. Dexter began to warm to this beige brigade. It turned out that they followed the same route. Army of pensioners. Everybody knew everybody. Like a big family. Morley winked at Dexter and told him, watch out. He pointed out who was who. Watch out for Sherlock Holmes there. He'd have a glass eye to sleep. Forget him. And apart from that, he puffs on an answer backy non-stop. Who else we got? And he pointed them all out. Watch out for anything that was worshipping in the churches here. There's millions of them come across. They're out. All they're searching out is macabre stuff. They're in mausoleums, churches. Avoid them like the plague. So you find you're spending time in the catacombs looking at skulls and skeletons. Forget it. The old guard. The thing they had was backgrounds, histories, realism, instead of the usual superficial Facebook or pretense of today, these pond-skating sapiens. Anything pre-internet seemed to have a little depth, an artistic approach to conversation, which takes time and skill to master. Like board-treading thespians, Dexter thought. He chose breakfast. Let's try and choose something a little... Oh, God, here comes the old... Sherlock Holmes from Putney, London. Oh, dear, thought Dexter. He's got a very strange habit of swallowing his syllables and clacking out his adjectives. So he was trying to dislodge a piece of toffee from the roof of his mouth. Finbar, his name. He's also got some misshapen, protruding incisor teeth, very goofy. Salivating mouth, and a tedious monotone voice. Oh, dear God. I have to get rid of this thing. It'll shake him loose like a social leper. Dexter began to feign a chest infection. I don't know what it is. I don't know what this is, this chest infection. I cannot get rid of it. Suddenly, with rapid blinks and realization, the Putney problem was gone, flustering an apology from behind a handkerchief. Excellent, thought Dexter. Surveyed the Buffy bar again. Something natural. Nothing too... What is this? We don't want bread. We don't want the serial killers. We've got to get this new diet working. Grazing on nuts and seeds or something. Oh, God. No swine flesh. We can't have that. Oh, dear. Maybe I ought to just have a drink, thought Dexter. No, better not. Anyway, what's happening here? What about some poached eggs, you know? Just poached eggs? Yeah, plain poached eggs. Tiny little bit of salmon. Oh no, who's this that's fluttered down opposite? Some old frail bird. Oh God. Are you here for the Born Again Festival? The Born Again? No, not at all, no. You could sniff out the soul catcher. It always seemed to sort of plague him, trying to save his soul. Not that he wanted it saving, but he always tried to. Only it's very close. The St. Michael Church is ever so beautiful. No, it's not for me. Tore a plan this morning, I fear. Perhaps tomorrow. The soul catcher was gone. As soon as she realized it was the same Christianity, she gave him a swerve. Excellent. Thank God for that. Last thing I need to do is be crying with the Christians. Sinning with the saints would be better. Now then, where's the old Maltese minx gone? He didn't have to wait long. Come on, Batman. Vroom, vroom. The metal's hot outside. What? Come on, you don't need breakfast. I do need breakfast. Rubbish. Come on, get on. Let's get out of here. The last thing we need is all this spiders, webs, and dust. You can have a day off. You can have as much time off when you're dead. Let's go. She was dressed in leather. Blood-red lips. Black jeans with a white menthol cigarette hanging out of her mouth. You're not thinking that I'm climbing on the back of this crotch rocket with you, are you? Of course I... Well, how the hell else do you think we're going to get there? Well, on the bus? No way, miss. I ain't riding buses. It's full of these. Come on, get on the back. Dexter looked at this black monster. Everything. There was no chrome, no nothing. All of it was jet black. Including the girl. Jesus. She put on a black helmet. It looked something like a devil's... He sat on the back. He wasn't easy about this. You take it easy with me. That's all as much as he got to say. The next thing he was off. Oh, he was hanging on for dear life. But she had great skill and smoothness. Braking, manoeuvring. He'd ridden bikes in his younger day. The beast of a bike that he was on now was leaping like a leopard into the curves, carving out of them. She was zapped quickly out of the suburbs towards Pembrokeshire Point, an old garrison fort built by the British. Thank God there was no army still there parading up and down first thing in the morning. She stopped and switched off the bike. Come on, I live down here. Let's get down to the beach. You need a burn on anyway, you're virtually see-through. They walked through the old stone streets of broken-down buildings, a beautiful stretch of rock out to the sea. It fizzed like lemonade and still back to blue. What a fantastic place. Yeah, far from the madding crowd, eh? She shook her hair loose and lit another cigarette. She was unblemished, uncreased, not a freckle. What are you looking at, Snake Eyes? Whatever it is you can't afford. I wouldn't be too sure about that. Pour me a drink. Diet Coke and whatever else booze you can find, pour it in. It was a small, compact dwelling, very bijou. The girl lived in disarray, collections of books. There was nothing in the fridge except drink and Coke. It resembled student days. The music collection was that of a man's, Rolling Stones, Van Morrison. A friend of mine's coming, shouldn't be long. She's bringing the big fella. Which big fella? The one from last night. Oh, great, that's all we need. She poured out the drinks. She began speed reading a book on Nazis. Dexter suddenly realized there's quite a few books on Nazis and Nietzsche. It's dubious. Light me a cigarette, Batman. Why do you call me Batman? So I don't upset your feelings. Better than calling you Fat Man, isn't it? She giggled, her torso tightened to muscle. She grabbed him, kissed him so violently I thought it was going to knock his teeth out. Here, have a read an old classic by Lee. The tranquility was suddenly shattered by a distant sound of a motorbike, a long stroke, single pot. It was coming roaring down the beach road, shuddered to a halt and died in a dust cloud, with a defiant cough from the carburetors. A piece of shit! The girl that climbed off the Panther 600 was cursing expletives. She stood 6 feet, like a movie set blonde, fully loaded. Oh my God. A twin pair pleasure model. Oh, torpedoes. Hey, Batman! Your right eye's just rolled under the sidecar. Dexter looked at the sidecar. It was a bullet-nosed. Climbing out of there was a huge beast, Tony, the East End boy. He was struggling free, his huge mouth pulling from a chrysalis. Eventually he broke free. Hello, mate. Remember me? How could I forget? He was also in a black leather jacket. He seemed to blot out the sunlight like a storm cloud, cast a cold shadow over Dexter. Is this some sort of goth festival? Everybody's blazing red hot, everybody's in leather. So I wonder you haven't all got chlamydia. How do you know we haven't? Oh, dear God.